Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another review. So I just finished the Chainsaw Massacre series. Now I'm just kind of doing random ones. This is a movie I've actually recently been really wanting to see. For a while I put off seeing this and its sequel because I just felt it was automatically going to be inferior to the original. That is Bride of Re-Animator, which the back of this says 1989, but Wikipedia says 1990. Oh well. So I'm still all stuffy. So yeah, the original Re-Animator, which was directed by Stuart Gordon, is one of my all-time favorite movies. Top 10 favorite films. I love the original Re-Animator. And just for the longest time, like I said, I wasn't really sure if this, or especially Beyond Re-Animator, because that's like 2003. Very low budget. I think it was actually made for TV. But recently I looked up trailers and they seemed pretty interesting and outrageous. And there really isn't much of any reviews that I've seen on YouTube for this movie. And with the exception of like the new Arrow Blu-rays, which can be around like $30. Haven't been able to find these cheap, but I just found these. So this and Beyond Re-Animator, which I'll review next. So I just got done watching this for the first time. And I have to say, obviously it's not as good as the original. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I thought this was a worthy sequel. I still very much enjoyed it. It's directed by Brian Yuzna, who was a producer on the original. And, of course, it stars Jeffrey Combs, of course, as Herbert West. Herbert West is, as far as horror movie protagonists, anti-heroes, whatever you want to call them, of like a series, he is my second favorite, only beaten by Ash Williams of Evil Dead. Evil Dead is my favorite horror series. And like Re-Animator, it's a trilogy. And this one was as good a sequel as they could have made it. It takes place 8 months after the original film. Herbert West and Dan Cain, which again played by Bruce Abbot. They're now licensed doctors. They're no longer med students. And it opens up, they're in the middle of a civil war in Peru. That way they have unlimited access to fresh bodies. But then they come back to America. They come back to Arkham, Massachusetts, which, yes, that's where Arkham in Batman gets his name from Lovecraft. Jesus Christ. So, where the first film was more about reanimating dead corpses, this one is more so about Dr. West's discovery about reanimating parts, dead body parts. He says he got the idea from Dr. Hill because he reanimated his head, which Dr. Hill comes back, again played by David Gale. Granted, it's only his head, his body is not in this film. And it does follow a lot of the same beats. It's Dan and Wes working together now on this new part of the experiment, body parts. Dan is, feeling, it's inhumane and he's kind of sick and ashamed, especially since the death of his girlfriend, Meg, or Megan rather. But Dan has also, become emotionally attached to this one patient of his that's dying. There's this one woman, Francesca. I don't remember exactly who she is, but they were working together over in Peru. She's Italian. He becomes smitten with her, but then Wes gets the idea to get all of these body parts, the best that he can find. Like the feet of ballet dancer, the hand, the legs of a walker. Get all these body parts together, put Megan's heart in it, and then Dan can, in theory, be with her again. And there's this one lieutenant who's been investigating the massacre for the last film, where his wife was one of the reanimated corpses. Sorry, my nose is running. He's investigating them, and he's sort of like the dean in the last film. Gets too close. Oops. I guess I'll say spoilers, because there's always people of discovering stuff like this. I will say I still very much enjoyed it. It didn't have the Evil Dead 2 effect, it didn't go bigger and better. It's still just as gory and gruesome, just in different aspects. For example, the original Re-Animator has like him with the little circular saw going through zombies. It's very blood flying everywhere. This is more like oddball, surreal stuff. Like in the beginning, we see him putting these fingers together with an eyeball to make like this weird, like crawly thing. Or like Francesca's dog gets killed and its arm ripped off, so he puts a human arm on it. Just like weird stuff like that, but it is still pretty good. Again, I think this is as good a sequel as they could have made. I haven't read the original Lovecraft story. I would very much like to. I've read some of his work, and I do really like Lovecraft stuff. I love Lovecraftian things as well. And this one is definitely more gothic. Like, where the previous one was more in, like, clean white labs. This one is in, like, a dingy, cobwebby, bricky basement with, like, green and purple lights and stuff like that. A lot more gothic-y. It's not as outright humorous as the first one. It is darker. And there are some really creepy shots that I enjoyed. Dr. Hill has come back because there's this pathologist that brings his head back to life. And he makes him sew bat wings to his neck so he can fly on his own. And he still has mental powers over all zombies. And the scene at the end where Francesca is hiding outside, out in the back of the house. And there's just these weird upward angled shots of these zombies in the dark. Trying to find her. I thought that was creepy. I love the look of the bride. Because she's all, she has skin missing, and there's, a medical braces holding her together, and she's all fucked up. I like how she sort of has, an Elsa Lancaster type performance, in the beginning, for Bride of Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite sequels, one of my favorite movies as well. It's my favorite of the Universal Monster movies. It's sort of like Bride of Frankenstein. You don't really see her until the end. But she sort of has this, when she first comes to life. The disintegration of her at the end. The tissue rejection, as Wes calls it. Where she's literally, falling apart over her echoed screams. Very well done. Especially towards the end where it's just like her waist and her legs that just like fall apart. You get great like stringy, bloody viscera. The effects are still, with the exception of some shots of Dr. Hill's head flying around, major effects like on the bride are very well done, very beautiful to look at. There is some stop motion, which I'm always a sucker for stop motion animation. Jeffrey Combs still gives a just as good a performance as West. So it follows a lot of the same beats. It's a lot more gothic and dark and not as humorous. But I still thought it was a pretty good movie. I definitely had fun with it. So yeah, it wasn't quite the Evil Dead 2, because I like Evil Dead 2 more than 1. But Evil Dead 2 and 1 is still my 4th and 5th favorite movie, respectively. But I still really enjoyed this. You know, I still enjoyed the tone, the effects. I thought, you know, it continued the first one in a well done way. You know, 8 months later, it's still very connected. Even some of the zombies are left over and put in, like, a mental hospital. Again, it's not balls to the wall, blood and guts flying everywhere like in the first one. It's more surreal, oddball type gore, which is still really fun. But yeah, Bride and Re-Animator, still a very solid flick. I thought it was definitely a worthy sequel. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of the original. But anyway, I gotta go blow my nose, so thank you for watching.